Welcome back, everybody, to AM-1220 KHTS, your hometown station. You listen to the Gazette Radio Hour with Doug and John. It's the radio digest version of the Santa Clarita Gazette for all you need to know to be in the know.
And our special guest, come on,
Councilman Tim Ben Boydston.
Work with me. Now, Councilman, in a grand scheme of things, would you consider yourself pro-growth or anti-growth?
In the grand scheme of things, I am for smart growth.
Smart.
And the smart growth means that definitely not anti-growth, okay? The Santa Clarita area has a whole bunch of great things that we would never had if we had not been a city and built correctly.
Right.
The problem, of course, is that you have to have enough infrastructure to keep up with your growth. What happens when you do not have enough roads is everybody is choking in traffic, sitting in traffic half their day. It's a mess. It's smoggy. It's horrible, okay? If you have too much high density without proper law enforcement, you can run into problems of density and things like that. What you need to do is make sure your infrastructure keeps up.
Right. Okay, I would agree with that. Now, because the big thing now, apparently, congratulations, you are allowed to talk about it. Don't even get me started on that one. The Lindsay Theater in downtown Newhall. Okay, that seems to be I think it's the entire revitalization of downtown Newhall, which is an issue. But that seems to be a cornerstone, and I think the city's in negotiations right now.
Yes, okay. And the Lindsay Theater is in negotiations, exclusive negotiations, the city with Lindsay and Serrano Development. It's two separate entities building two different projects, but on the same block.
Okay.
And so it's an exclusive 90 days where they hammer things out and try to get the best deal they can. Then they bring that back to the city council, and the city council will vote yes or no, or yes if you do this, or we've changed our mind, or whatever they decide.
They'll vote both at the same time? The two projects you're talking about?
Well, that's another question to be asked. Okay, I don't have the information on whether that is.
Is one of them the parking garage?
One of them is a parking garage, but that's the third component of it. Okay. So there's three components. One is the Lindsay Theater itself. The other is the Serrano Development, which is retail, restaurant space, plus housing. And then the third is the parking garage.
So housing in the form of condos type thing.
The housing is a form of condos. I'm not even sure about that. They say whether they're managed apartments or whether they're condos, but I believe they're supposed to be condos. I'll know specifically when we actually see that proposal in front of us. And so, when you talk about redevelopment, and believe me, I know a lot about redevelopment. I spent some time working on redevelopment in Santa Monica on the 3rd Street Promenade, a very successful place.
Oh, very, very.
And a less successful place where they went through a lot of money, which was in Hollywood, that area. So I've worked in two other redevelopments before this came. I'm a big proponent of it. I think we were doing a pretty good job here in Santa Clarita in some aspects. It certainly was a good idea to put redevelopment here in Old Town Newhall.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, after they did the plan, they have gone awry a couple places, and that's unfortunate because Mullen Polizoides, which is a urban planning team, got together, and we're talking about 17 or 18 years ago, maybe even 19 now, where they decided they wanted, right after redevelopment was put together. And redevelopment, for your listeners, is really important. I'll try to simplify it.
Yeah,
but it means that an area of any city takes a picture of all of what the tax rates are, and whereas the city usually just gets 1% of like sales tax, and they get a certain amount. Well, what they allow you to do is the state takes at a certain level whatever they're taking when you start redevelopment. And then when your property goes up in value, the redevelopment area, the agency, which is usually the city, in our case it's the city, the same people sit on the agency. And so that money, when your building increases in value, then the difference goes right back into redevelopment. It doesn't go to the state. So it's kind of like, it was a mechanism they figured out to try to take blighted areas and renovate them. And it was very successful, and it creates a lot of money, a lot of tax money for local counties or cities to be able to use to change their blighted areas and keep pouring the money back in. Because when you pour the money back in, prices go up. And then your revenues go up, the tax revenues go up, and obviously then the money keeps pouring back in. So that's the way it works.
Okay, so
that's redevelopment. It's a good idea.
For the record, right here, right now, the theater. Okay.
Yes.
Well, because we'll start with that. Okay. Because you said it's 3 phases, assuming that there's infrastructure. Because I know that's one of your.
Well, that's the question is about the infrastructure.
Okay.
So, what is the issue about redevelopment as a whole? Because this area was redevelopment, and that's why they're going down this path, because it was started before redevelopment. Then they killed it. They killed redevelopment. The state did.
Okay.
Well, the plan was built, and it was a good plan. $1.2 million cost the taxpayers.
Okay.
That $1.2 million said that you needed to do the first thing, facade work, make all the buildings pretty on the outside, and at the same time, you're supposed to do streetscape, which the whole blocks, which they finally did. They started out and gave them a hard time for a long time, and then some years back they said, okay, we're going to do all the streetscape. And so they basically did most of the streetscape from one end to the other.
Okay.
Now it looks pretty. People are going, oh, something's going on. And then the next thing they were supposed to do is build a 400-space parking garage up there at the where the Theater Guild end of Newhall. Okay. And then up where more submarine sandwiches used to be, right in there, in that area, they're supposed to put a 400-space garage. And then the next thing they were supposed to build was another 400-space garage down where they're talking about putting the Lindsay Theater project. Okay? So they said 800. And then after that, in the year 2020 or 2025 or something like that, if there was money left over, then you would build maybe a civic building like a library. But as you know history, they just changed their mind and decided not to follow the plan, and that's the problem. And I'll explain why when we come back from this commercial break.
Okay.
Was that it?
Works for us.
I thought you were waving at me.
Well, no, we're not waving at you. No, I wanted to know.
Well, this is the problem. Okay, so now they killed redevelopment.
Okay.
But they didn't build all those 800 spaces of parking. So, but they left the zoning change in place. Now, why is that an issue? Why is it a problem? Well, let's take this building we're sitting in, okay?
All right.
Now, did you drive a car here today?
Yeah.
How about you, Doug? Did you drive a car? How about our hip engineer? You drive a car?
Yes, I did.
Okay. There are 17 people here in this office when I came in today, and you told me there's like 3 behind the closed door. So maybe 20 people in this part of the building, 20 cars, I'll bet you, are close to it.
Yeah.
Next door, Arif Halaby, Total Financial Solutions.
Right.
I'm not doing a commercial for him, but he is right next door, and I'm sure he maybe has 4 or 5 people in there as well. So what are we talking? Maybe 25 cars, and there's still one little space. So 25 cars,
parking's important.
But 25 cars, where are those cars right now?
Okay, but
where are they parked right now? I know
where
a
they
lot of them
can,
are parked
where
right
they
over
can.
here where Tres Sierras used to be.
Right. That's going to be changing.
And when someone goes in and develops Tres Sierras into a restaurant or something, you're not going to be able to park those 25 cars. There's 35 cars parked there right now.
So aside from the
So where do they go?
But Councilman,
So they need to go somewhere so there's not parking. So restaurants, lots of spaces. Gyms. We have a gym that went in down there.
Yeah.
Okay. There's lots of spaces. It's a high space use. You can put anything you want according to our zoning right now under the redevelopment plan in any space on here, and you can go from like 3 people working there in offices to 25 people that are serving customers who are eating food. So,
but
we need
aside from the parking,
you can't go aside from the parking. It's Southern California. Without parking, you're dead.
It's my
And
show.
So
I
are
can
the
go
tenants.
aside from the parking.
Yes, go ahead.
What are the other issues that you have with the theater?
Well, the other issue with aside from the parking, but the parking is number 1 here in all of Newhall. And if we don't change the zoning, we're in big trouble. Okay, number 1, parking. Okay, the second issue about the theaters is just an economic issue. It's not an idea that Lemley is not a good thing to have. Lemley, people that love art films love Lemley. There are even people that drive over into L.A. that go to L.A. and see the films there.
Right.
And so if Lemley were to do some art films here, then some people would not go out of the valley. They would stay in the valley, and some of their tax money would stay here. Okay?
Right.
It's not that Lemley is not a good idea to put a Lemley in, and everybody in.
So
I would love to have a Lemley.
What's your other issue then?
First is we're supposed to spend. Now, Lemley is not a nonprofit organization.
Right.
Because I was online the other day making comments to the people over at SCV TV, the administrators over there, were talking about, well, you're from a theater. Oh, and the city helped you build. Yes, they did. They gave the Canyon
Because
Theater
you're a
some money.
nonprofit.
We're
Okay.
a nonprofit organization.
So, but then
Lemley
what's
is not a nonprofit organization. So $4.5 million is the number that they said the other day in the meeting that we're going to subsidize Lemley for their business.
To subsidize.
Subsidize.
That means give.
Tax money. Yes,
That
we're going
means
to give tax
Yeah, let's
money.
be fair.
Okay.
Gentlemen, unfortunately,
sorry.
we
How
are
about
out
that?
of time.
Are we really?
Let's have him back. Can you come back next week?
I can come back next week, and I can tell you about the other $9 million that is going to be necessary to bring Lemley
Perfect.
here.
Let's schedule him right now, John.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. All right, Councilman Tim Ben Boyson, thanks so much. I didn't even notice the time, Doug. I like yelling at you. It's rare that people get to do that, I guess. All right, you listen to Gazette Radio Hour with Doug and John on AM-1220 KHTS. We'll be right back.
Welcome, everybody, to the Gazette Radio Hour. Doug and John, you're listening to your hometown station, AM-1220 KHTS. A couple technical difficulties, but we're getting through it, right, John?
Yeah, hey, that was, something, there's a lot of stuff. We got to have him back on.
Yep.
We should have had him on. To get Tim Ben to talk about one or two issues is tough, but definitely the thing that got me was, and he started to talk about it. The problem with the theater. And now, here's the problem, Doug. Stuff's good, but it's not good.
And it takes a guy like him to point it out, I guess.
And
Because I heard about it, and I go, oh, that sounds cool to me.
Is that what they're trying to do? I mean, are we just sheep here? Do they just pull the wool over our eyes? I wonder if it happens in a national standpoint, too. They just tell us what we want to hear. This is horrible. You've made this very, very difficult, Doug. We need to talk about something more fun.
We do?
You know what's starting soon?
What?
Football.
Yeah.
Don't we have we're going to have a special guest, I hope. If the technical... Doug, focus on the show, would you please?
He's asking me for
I
phone
know,
numbers.
but you got to give him the phone number. You have to multitask.
Anyway.
Hello, we're talking. Hi, Doug. It's the Doug and John Show.
High school football starts a week from tonight.
From tonight? I know.
It seems early to me, but that's okay.
It's before Labor Day,
A
but
week
Labor Day
before
seems late this year,
It
so everything's
does.
kind of bizarre.
True enough. So, just so the listeners know, for football, we're going to do 3 in a row, right?
We are doing
Fridays.
3 in a row. 3
Next
Fridays in a
week,
row.
we're going to talk about college football.
Yeah,
And
we're
the
gonna
week
have
after that, NFL.
NFL. Are we doing we're doing our picks, right?
That's right.
I seriously think we ought to have somebody email you, and just do random picks, random people, and we'll see what happens. Usually it's one of those things where it's you versus me, and then we throw in maybe Kyle or the station manager Kyle Jones.
Haddock, or hope to get
Hello?
Hey,
Yeah,
is this
that
Rich?
would be pretty cool.
Yes, it is.
All right, you're going on.
But right now, what's really cool is we have the head coach of Canyon High School on the air with us. You know that, right?
Coach Rich, are you there?
Yes, I am. How's it going?
Hey, man.
You tell us, Coach. How's it going? How's it look out there?
Living the dream. Hey, just trying to make it happen. You know what I mean? It's not too bad. Friday night. Gotta love the excitement, right? It's getting started again. Football season.
We're talking to Rich, and I will screw his last name up, Gutierrez, right?
You said it
That's
right?
correct. Yeah,
Oh, man, the first time in 3 years I got it right. Anyway, he's the head
Yeah,
coach of
good.
Canyon High Cowboys. And you have a scrimmage tonight, is that right?
We do. We're playing. We're scrimmaging against Palmdale. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Kind of a regular thing. We have a good relationship with them, so it's always fun to get out there and mix it up with each other.
Okay, good, because I've seen a lot of joint practices in the NFL, and that seems to be a bad thing
Yeah.
nowadays.
Oh yeah. There's that's one thing we've always. I mean, I'm literally, Doug. Going back even to when your son played.
Right.
I think we scrimmaged Palmdale then.
Yes, you did.
We've had a long running relationship with them.
Okay, that's good.
So yeah, it's and the head coaches up there and all the guys. They're really good guys. And
Now, Coach, you
we
know
kinda run
that
things over.
won't Calabasas be scouting this, your opener next week?
Oh, I believe so. Yeah.
So how much would you show them tonight? Does that matter to you, or would you just go all out? Or
More than anything, I never try to focus on the week or next week. I kind of am worried more about tonight. So I really want to see how our kids perform. So it's I even told our kids, I don't. Pretty much everybody we face is almost like a faceless opponent. It's you're kind of competing against yourself all the time. So you want to try to perfect what you're doing. So I want to see more execution than anything, communication with the guys, and hopefully see some strong chemistry.
right. So speaking of your guys, give us an overview. You got your quarterback coming out, who started as a sophomore last year. Is that right?
That is correct. Yeah, he's a junior this year, Miles Fallon. Dynamite kid, all-state last year, threw for 2,800 yards.
Wow.
6'4", 180. But just good leader, intangible traits. And Markel Taylor, he's returning. He was a junior last year.
Now, you did lose some good skill position players. You got guys to replace them?
Yeah, we lost the Twins, but they're at San Diego State doing their thing, and
Yeah.
that's awesome. And, a couple other kids that were just dynamite at what they did. But, yeah, every year it's just kind of a new, it's a new journey. So, you kind of like that portion of it. I think as a coach, it's kind of nice to kind of, restart and recharge that year and go from there.
You got a pretty tough schedule this year, too, don't you?
We do. Yeah, we do.
St. Francis and Calabasas and Thousand Oaks. That's a pretty decent lineup. Are you looking at it? Is. I know I know it coach speak, and we can take off the coach hat for a second. Are you looking to head to one game in particular in your schedule? I know you got to plan one at a time. I knew you were going to say that. You got to be.
I it's funny. They asked me that the other day, and I really, you know what? You can ask any of the coaches that I have, even just guys.
Yeah.
I think about every game, because you just got to get better,
Right.
and that's really, we have such a tough schedule that you can get caught up in win-loss records. I told my boys this yesterday. We had a team meeting prior to our practice, and I said, it's like I was just telling you guys a second ago. You got to execute, and you got to compete against yourself.
Right.
It's not who is just transferred in somewhere or where you're playing, or do you want to play someone who's going to really challenge you and, really compete against the best? And, win, lose, or draw, if you leave everything on the field, then you're playing the right way,
right.
I get it. You're going to have people who, hate you when you go 2-3, or
I knew you were going to say all this.
I had someone ask me a couple of weeks ago, first losing season, and I'm like, well, it depends on how you see it, because it was one of the most enjoyable seasons last year,
absolutely.
Because every week the kids were excited to play.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew it. And I don't blame you. I knew you were going to do the coach speak, and you have to. But you got to admit, from a fan standpoint, you're circling, Thousand Oaks to see how you are against some elite competition, St. Francis, and I know you want to knock off Valencia. So you're looking at those games. I know it. That's okay.
Okay.
Not to mention Hart.
I love the Hart game.
Yeah.
Growing up out here, that was always the game. I'd love to, beat Valencia. Never have beaten Valencia. To maybe be on the opposite end of, Larry, you know what I'm saying?
There you go.
Because every time he sees me, he shakes his head, and I'm like, dude, we almost did it.
Yeah,
and
Coach,
he's just like, dude,
You would not be human if you didn't have those thoughts. I know. And
it's funny.
But what you're saying is absolutely right.
I tell him all the time that same thing, because
there you go.
A couple of years ago when Cade was our quarterback, we were up 28-7 at halftime.
Oh, I remember that game.
We decided to take a break, and go have dinner or something. I don't know.
Well, it was already won.
We were already at Chi-Chi's, and it's like, at the end of the game, he looked at me, because I remember they threw that, Nick Jones 99-yard touchdown.
Yep.
I felt like Nick Saban on the sideline just getting punched in the gut,
Yeah, right.
We walk across, and he puts his hands up, and he's like, I don't know what to say, and I'm thinking, dude, man, can't get over this hump, bro. This is like horrible.
Coach Rich, unfortunately, we're up against the clock, so we got to let you go, but really appreciate you coming on.
Oh, okay.
All right. Coach Rich Gutierrez, Canyon High School, Canyon football. That's going to be so much fun this year. All it's going to be great. All right, you listen to Gazette Radio with Doug and John on AM-1220 KHTS. We're out. We'll be back in a second.